coming on video cassette.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Beautiful people. Welcome to the channel. We Game Freaks. That's not the channel name in any way, shape, or form. But the channel is Not For Real Though. Welcome. Not For Real Though is a YouTube channel where we play video games and that we talk, review, and discuss films. Because I think there's something that films need to be discussed, they need to be reviewed, they need to be talked about, and also multiple minds blending into one thought, consciousness, and perspective. What that means now, I don't know, but it's something that we'll eventually figure out together. So whenever it comes to any type of Pokemon game, because I am a seasoned Pokemon vet of 10 years of never playing legit on the internet, this will be my first time, so we always go hard mode because I like to have a challenge. And when it comes to this particular challenge, we're going to be running with standard Nuzlocke rules, catch one Pokemon per route, and also, let's see, we're going to do the same typings. I think it doesn't matter about typings, but first Pokemon per route. The trainers will not be randomized. Our Pokemons and our Pokemon's abilities and our Pokemon's moves and their learned sets will all be randomized. Just because it makes the game a little bit more spicy, more fun to see what we can potentially do. Character we see is Sandshrew, looking great as ever. We see Birch the Tree, so I'm definitely a big fan of this man. Legend was bringing out some of the best trios of Pokemon we've ever seen, aka Gen 3, but we gotta see what we have in this particular round. Now, I gotta talk to you about this one movie that I saw at least 15 times. And when I say this is one of the greatest films of all time, I'm not bullshitting. It's a 5 out of 5. Check my letterboxd. I stand by what I say about this movie. It is a one of one, and no movie that I've seen can compare to this. First, before we talk about this phenomenal film, I gotta put in my name, Slumdog. It's not the name I chose, it's the name that was given to me. And I'm gonna just ride or die with it. Now, click OK. Say yes. Birch is speaking. I don't read. I'm now in the back of a moving truck because that makes a lot of sense according to Japanese rule. Maybe someone in the comments can give me an understanding and awareness of what this actually means and why am I in the back of a truck. Am I trying to keep things stable versus sitting in the front, or do they want shit to just fall on top of me? I don't know. And I'm not the man with all the answers, but I am the man who has the answers about cinema because of my own sense of arrogance and my own cinephile mentality. I don't even know if there's a right word to define me, but I'm a cinephilic individual. I'm just making up a ton of different words. So, as our mom brings us into her house, and we have mad Vigoroths around us, and I think the seal is a plushie. I don't know if actually no, that's a real seal. Okay. Mom, I'm not trying to speak to you right now. I'm trying to do my clock. Now, the movie that we'll be talking about today, the one and only Human Centipede 3, or as I like to refer to it, HC3. Now, what can I say about this movie? When it comes to Human Centipede 3, I don't think it can be understated. It is genius beyond belief. It's one of the most thought-provoking and introspective films to come out of the 2010s decade. It's grossly overlooked, and due to its ethnocentric content, if that is the right word for it, and dramatic Shakespearean-style speech, metaphors, and dialogue, not many movies can compare to this. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to break this movie down. We're going to break down certain aspects of scenes, understanding what these scenes actually mean, the special unique qualities of what makes this film truly a spectacle beyond belief. So, with any movie, a lot of people believe that characters are the most fundamental or most crucial aspect, so I will help you guys out in understanding even the characters of the movie. We got three main characters of Human Centipede 3. We got the legend himself, Bill Boss. Super unique individual, one of one, a true American, truly. Bill Boss, as you could tell by his name, because his name itself is a literal metaphor and a satirical joke on how certain characters have tropes. Just like how J.K. Rowling would put a Cho Chang because she's Asian, or a Parvati Patel because she's Indian. Put in the most stereotypical names you could think about: PPCC, DDEEFF. I don't know any other type of lettering, but you get the gist. Now, BB, Bill Boss, funny enough, it falls with this exact trope. Bill Boss, in many ways, is a true American with the lack of any sense of understanding the English language, yet still somehow is German at the same time, somehow showcasing the parallels between authoritarian figures who follow the same exact track record. To me, when I first saw this film, one of the biggest things I noticed is that when it comes to this man, Bill Boss, he's very similar to a Joe Pesci from Arizona. And Joe Pesci is a one-of-one type of individual who loves to be revered as an individual who does not give love and respect to prisoners, who gives them no understanding or awareness or care for human decency and human nature. Also, when it comes to human nature and human decency, Hop Hip Garbage, Volcarona, cool as hell, but I know what I'm going to be getting, which is a lazy Pokemon, aka Slacking. The legend himself, high BTS, if that's what it is. I'm not talking about the Korean band, I'm talking about the Pokemon battle, whatever the abbreviation may be. Now, I bring up the idea of Bill Boss because we have these standard character tropes of what are these characters, what do they imply, and when it comes to Joe Pesci, it's the standard authoritarian that we see in a lot of cinemas and that we see in a lot of different movies. Just an evil figure who is so himself in so many ways and such an evil individual that there's no redeeming him. This is another thing that Human Centipede 3 does. It doesn't talk about the complexities of certain characters. It doesn't talk about the crazy detail behind them. It's almost intentional the way that they say, we're going to make it as simple as possible so the characters do not take away from the meaning and metaphors of this film. Now, next character we have. This movie's Samwise Gamgee for sure. His name is Dwight Butler. And Dwight Butler is the dedicated side character who carries the main character to success. We see this in every single hero's trope and hero's story. You have a main character, but that side character is going to ride or die with them until they fully succeed and they get on their adventure. That is Dwight Butler over here. And because of that, we got Slacking. He looks like a butler. I'm going to call him Butler. If I can spell Butler. Now, with Dwight Butler being the stereotypical side character, the other sad part in this situation is that he's also stereotypically not attractive and can be considered ugly in many ways, and that I think happens in a lot of these films. Your main actor has to be the most attractive person. Your side character always has to be semi-uglier than them because they can never steal the show away from the main character. I find that inherently funny how that is a trope that Hollywood does and that they forever do try to continue and portray. And it's been like that for years on end. You never want to have your side character hotter than the main character, and if they are, they'll do anything they can to make them look uglier. I remember seeing when the initial live action Aladdin came out. No hate to Aladdin, handsome dude, stupid attractive. But Jafar was stupid handsome beyond belief, but they have to make him as ugly as possible because he can never overshadow the main hero. Because that's what can never happen. We never want the main hero to be overshadowed by anyone. And obviously, no hatred to Aladdin. I hope he gets more and more roles. Sadly, he's not getting it at this point. What is happening right now? Why is the trio freezing? Okay, he's dead. It's fine. I don't know what that was, but I was mortified beyond belief. And as for Nuzlocke rules, the Nuzlockes have not started until I get my first Pokeballs. Now, as Butler's getting beefy as shit, let's talk about the lady of the film, the stereotypical woman who serves a purpose, but the purpose itself is very one-note and one-sided, sadly, because that's what Hollywood loves to do. Her name is Brie Olson. I don't know if people know her, but if you know her, don't look her up, and if you don't know her, don't look her up. But in the movie itself, her name is Daisy, but aka Tits. Now, the sad part about Daisy, aka Tits, is that she's a female. She's the representation metaphor of women in the industry. Females in film that are represented through Hollywood that are treated as nothing less than a sex object. So they got an ex-adult star as a literal quote-unquote sex object to be looked at as nothing less than a sex object. And the sad part is, as Hollywood tries to say how progressive and everything they are, they still treat women as secondary citizens, secondary characters, secondary actors. And you see this trope continuously done throughout all of Hollywood films. There are certain films that try to be quote-unquote feminist, but instead they end up disrespecting women, period. So that's how I know that Hollywood still hasn't found their place. They're not trying to find their place, because anything they give, they say it's very feminist and progressive, and yet nothing about it's progressive or feminist. They've never seen a single feminist film, or if they have, they're never trying to showcase it, because it's an inherent subversion of the idea of who are these people. And am I saying proper English? I don't know. Am I using big words to make myself sound smarter? Of course I am. But the meaning does not change about the idea that women are mistreated in Hollywood. And that's been shown through people like Harvey Weinstein. I don't have to go anything deeper than that, because we're also aware of what that man has done. He's in jail for a reason. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but we'll see. Now, I think the most important thing to do is talk about the meaning behind the movie. Because if anyone wants to watch it, go for it. If anyone doesn't want to watch it, go for it. It doesn't matter to me, because I've already seen it 15 times. But I think it's important for us to gain some awareness and to be able to talk about this movie in a higher level. For the overall discussion of this film, it focuses on prison reform. Not only does this move the subject and move us as a subject, and showcasing the brutality of America on POCs of various backgrounds visually, it also showcases the brutality and the torture that they went through when they quote-unquote entered the country. I think it's super fascinating how the movie itself is able to portray and showcase this to us in such a brutalist way that we become very much voyeurs of this film. We're voyeuristic of an audience to see what's happening behind closed doors that prisons don't really show. People have obviously seen 60 Days in Jail. That's the first time we've ever seen cameras and seen people in prison acting. But the worst part is, like, that's a TV show. This kind of showcases the most vicious versions of what jail could potentially be, and what Joe Pesci is probably having a wet dream about at this moment. But I think it's super important to understand that through this voyeuristic perspective behind these closed doors, prison is created as a way to isolate individuals who quote-unquote did something bad, and in doing so, hides the atrocities of what they may be facing on a daily basis. It's really easy to avoid viewing people's sufferings by simply flipping a channel, ignoring it due to the fact that it's the privilege you have, and nothing wrong with your privilege. It's just understanding that things are happening around you, and as much as you try to ignore it, you can never really ignore it, especially when it comes to watching HC3. And HC3 shoves it in your face and makes you accept it whether you like it or not, and puts you into a sense of realization saying, damn, this is what potentially is happening. Is it to the degree that Bill Boss is putting people through? Maybe not. But are these microaggressions that are consistently happening? Yeah. People getting shanked, people getting stabbed, people getting spooned, people getting abused, people getting harassed by certain workers. All these different things are definitely things that are there, but we never get to see them. Because if we ever get to see them, then it's going to make us question if these institutions should even exist in the first place. And funny enough, because obviously this film itself is a satirical comedy in the darkest sense. This in many ways is in tune that kind of goes with what's happening with today in the world that we're living in. We're all very much like voyeurs to like the wildness of people in reality TV. We love and we're addicted to seeing people fall, fail, screw themselves over, screw other people over, or even cause havoc. character-filled tropes like in The Bachelor or Bachelorette, I always think about like the Chads or the Karens, who are absolutely like miserable people, but they always make it to top 10. It's not because like the main person's not seeing what they're able to do, or like they're trying to like try to see the betterment of them as people. No, it's because they're entertaining as hell. Now, Lord, there's a Route 101 encounter. We gotta see what's happening right now. Fuck. Okay, it's a Doug trio. I'm worried that I might kill it, so I might just do like a hypnosis. And I missed it because I love missing hypnosises. What the fuck is this move? I'm like genuinely afraid for my life right now. Stop missing hypnosis, bro. What is Rim Chaser? What is this? Okay, that's fine. I don't know why it's like, okay, there we go, hypnosis. But back to what I was saying. I think it's so important for us to understand that we're very much like voyeurs. We love to see people suffer. We've seen so many different TV shows that literally have people suffering, and we're like, yeah, this is fire. It's a lot of fun to watch. This is crazy. How can they be like this? How can they do that? It's because we love the craziness of reality TV, and we sadly get a voyeuristic high from watching other people suffer when we don't have to suffer ourselves. I think that's what's so fascinating about Human Centipede 3. Because like, nah, for real though, like, Human Centipede 3 really talks about the idea of like, oh, are you really enjoying this movie? Are you enjoying the abuses that these people are going through? They're criminals, right? Like, isn't this great? Like, they're being like treated less than human, aka literal insects. It's a full parody of our own desires and our sixth sense of justice. That's the thing is so fascinating about Human Centipede 3 out of any other movie you've ever seen. Because it showcases brutality to your face and shoves it in your face saying, own it. Own the fact that we're putting people here. Own the fact that we are seeing people in these situations. And can you handle what you've done? Not saying you yourself are the person that pulled the trigger. But we gotta make sure that we are also just brought to an awareness of what is actually happening. Doug Trio. I'm trying to think. He looks like 3 poops to me, so I'll just call him Triple. I hope I spelled triple correctly. You know, I'm going to do 3 P's because it has 3. I like that. Now I gotta see what Triple actually has because he wasted multiple of my Pokemon. Yo! Water Orb is crazy. That is actually so good. It now minimizes his freaking... Okay, what is this? Raises speed for the first turn. Lunges into foes. Okay. I think... Incredible ability. I think that's a great ability. So I'm really happy about that. But I think this is what's so fascinating about Human Centipede 3. And that's something I love about the film because... Honestly, the funny thing was that when it was first shown to me, the movie's a marathon. It's not a movie that everybody should watch. And I don't think you ever need to watch about it, but I think it's very interesting to be able to discuss it or talk about the satirical comedy aspects of it. I think some of the wildest things is that there's a scene where Bill Boss consumes a male's ping pong balls. I don't know, like when it comes to any type of what is it? Trying to think of the right word for this. Censorships on YouTube. I don't know how it works, but I'm just going to say his ping pong balls and a tasteful medium rare, if I'm not mistaken. He has an inmate literally like humanity and also his manliness literally being stripped and taken away and consumed in front of him, as like a direct correlation of like abuses of the same industry who are watching. Like it's insane to think about with like certain aspects like that. Like how are they actually like literally doing this on camera and putting this out there for us to see, and yet it speaks so much. I think about like the literal creation of the Human Centipede, having like hundreds of prisoners being literally chain ganged in a line, put ass to mouth, to the point of like actual abuses. Like, yo, what is actually happening with this film? Do you have 100 people lined up? Because one wasn't enough in the first one, like 3 people, and then from there you just needed 6 people, and now they just quadrupled infinity times. I don't know what the actual case of numbers is, not good at math. But one thing I'm aware of is that, okay, what do I do here? Spoink is a piece of shit. But I think one of the most fascinating things about it is that you're watching literal people being mistreated to such a point that they're not even considered humans itself, and like that's what the movies are truly talking about. It's a sad, wild version of saying, hey, we're not gonna actually treat them like humans, they're subhumans, so let's treat them like insects and let's do whatever we want because that's the freedom that we have. And as you see this massive human centipede, the wildest things that you see Bill Boss go out of his way screaming American vigor, like the intensity he has, the passion he has as he's looking at his human centipede, looking down on them like basically ants to a human. His literal power over them to do whatever he wants to them. It's certain stuff like that that's just like incredible to witness and watch. And Spoink, I'm gonna call you Pearl because you have a pearl. I never know when it comes to Pokemon, is that pearl like attached, and if it's not attached, do they die? Like, I remember there's so many wild things that were said about Pokemon. If like Charmander's tail die, like gets it exterminated. What is the right word for this? Gets extinguished. There we go. Oh my god, it gets extinguished, and it like dies. Like, I find it crazy how Pokemon has so many wild entries. I think Drifloon initially in Gen 4 was like, oh, Drifloon is known to like, holy fuck. Yo, this randomizer's cracked. I'm super excited. I should be able to capture this, man. If not, I'm gonna be really freaking sad. Okay. Okay, I just gotta fast forward that. I gotta do some twin needles. Yo, okay, why does everybody have color change? Why is this a thing? Why is color change a thing? Yo, it's been one turn. It's been one turn, Charizard. I don't even like you that much. To me, I think Charizard might be the most overhyped starter of all time. I have so many friends that love Charizard. I'm a Blastoise boy through and through. I'm always for big man Blastoise. So I refuse to be a Charizard fanboy. Just because I feel like it's too easy. To say your favorite Pokemon is Charizard, my bro, there are over 1,000 Pokemon. You still only pick like basically the first ones that you see. Come on. If you can't tell with my channel, my favorite Pokemon of all time is Politoed. I'll ride or die for Politoed. Man's a boss. VGC champion, if that is what the Pokemon thing is. GOAT. If I'm saying, I saw Wolfie play with him, so I'm like, yeah, Politoed deserves that love and respect. Bare minimum. Now, back to more brutality of Human Centipede 3. I think there's another scene that really gets into my head about it, is that you literally see a scene of Bill Boss. Fuck you, Charizard! You should not be having poison powder. Mind you, this is the randomizer, but goddamn, like, I'm on a time crunch, and I'm trying to catch this man who refuses to get caught. But there's a scene where Bill Boss is literally checking Tits' pulse through an area that's a no-no spot. And that's him literally showcasing his power and how she is a literal like woman representation of his power over like women, or like how Hollywood has a power over women, and how executives nightly treat their actors or actresses. I mean, we saw the movement happen. I don't gotta speak anything more on that, but I think it's very much very synonymous of looking at that. And I think one of the other funny tropes that I saw within the movie itself is that Dwight the Loner, this man, Dwight Butler, the loner himself, he falls for Tits, the woman out of his league, giving that Quasimodo Esmeralda type vibes on Hunchback of Notre Dame. I just think at the end of the day, one of the things that's super important for us to do is that you don't have to look at films so straightforward. I think there's so much subtext, there's so much metaphors, allegories, many different things that are important for us to understand with the messaging of a movie. Oh my god, this Charizard would be so good! Like, you are a cursed Charizard, bro! I think I can do one more, and then I think I need to leave. And I'm sad I do not get to capture this goddamn Charizard. Fuck. Okay. I think I'm out. And I'm very sad that I'm out, because I would have loved to have gotten Charizard. Even though it's overrated, it's still a great Pokemon. It looks cool as shit. I'm just sad that I do not get to have it. But I think the biggest thing I wanted to mention with this movie in general is that look at the brutality. And not saying we'll actually watch the movie, but the meaning of it. Look at the brutality that should be noticed. It's wild how, like, we see films and we overlook so many different things without looking at the deeper meaning behind it. But people love to look at, like, deeper meanings of stupid films like Inception. Like, I remember watching this one Nolan interview where when everybody, including his fans, went out of their way to ask him, was he in the dream state or was he not in the dream state, Christopher Nolan? And Nolan's like, did y'all miss my whole entire movie? It's useless. And it's very obvious to tell when he's in the dream or not. You have to look at the individual's hand. What's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio. If you look at his hand, or if you look at the legend himself, the butler from Batman, if you see either of them in the camera shot, it indicates that he's not in a dream. And when he's in a dream is when he has a ring on his finger. Like, it's very much that. But I think one of the things that really pisses me off is that people love to look at those movies and say it's such a deep movie because you don't get it. I feel like it was so ambiguous to a point that the audience lost its inherent sense of what the movie was actually talking about. And when the movie has lost you as an audience and has tried to say something except the messaging is not there, then the movie's garbage, in my opinion. But who am I? I'm just a guy that plays Pokemon criticizing plebeians on their ideas of what is a good movie. But I do think it's a lot of fun for us to kind of sit down and analyze and talk about these type of movies, but I think it's super important that we gain that awareness. Overall, though, that is what Human Centipede 3 is. Watch it if you want to, don't watch it if you don't want to, but I think the main things you could take from the film is, the film showcases brutality. It talks about police reform, and make sure that you are also brought to awareness on what is actually happening behind potential closed doors of these institutions, and that life itself is as great as it is, people are suffering. And I'm not going to say go out of your way to start riots and bomb shit because of these, but I think it's important that you're just not hiding from it and that you are aware of it and you know who you're voting for, what you're voting for. I'm telling you, everything is connected. There's always a root of everything, and I always fully believe that. But let's get back to the Pokemon game. Youngster Calvin, the legend himself. In my opinion, I never understood why Calvin is basically 5 years old having a Pokemon, when I remember Ash was 10 when he was first allowed to go on his Pokemon adventure. Who's Calvin's parents? Why aren't they taking care of Calvin? Mag 9, now Shinx is dead. I love it. Shinx, you ain't shit. You've been nothing since Gen 4. As cool as you are, you've not done anything for us. But this is something that I love about Pokemon. I think the wildness of Pokemon and how people are able to manipulate and break a real Pokemon game that I bought, obviously, legally, and how they're able to manipulate it in such a way that it makes it much more entertaining, and the extra rules that people have created within the Pokemon community makes it just that much more fun. That's what I'm genuinely excited about playing this with you guys, because I've stopped playing Pokemon games entirely until I wanted to record on YouTube, because I think, to me, I wanted to enjoy it with a spectacle and an audience and potentially my own friends. So I said this is such a good journey for me to do to ensure that we can have fun with this shit. We can get crazy, we can get wild, and hopefully I don't get KO'd by random ass Pokemon that should not KO me. I feel like I'm kind of in an easy situation right now. I don't know if this is awful foreshadowing, but I feel like it should have randomized all Pokemon just because it feels so easy having a slacking off rip. I don't know if the game will get any more difficult. I don't know if I'll die to a random crit, but we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, like I'm dumbly excited for this thing. Blazing Emerald is just a great game. Whoever made this game, incredible design, incredible work. And I love how they created their own variations of the actual like Pokemon that are within this game. And I hope we get to see some of them so you guys can actually see what is actually in this game itself. My old ass was actually trying to do some Switch training, even though I realized that I put on Party Experience, it makes life 100 times easier. The one thing I love about this game too is that they put a cap. So after level 15, there's a cap on the Pokemon, to the point that now we don't have to worry about over leveling, because I hate over leveling. I think it's super cheap, and you gotta respect the gym leaders. You got to respect them. They're out there working their asses off. They're making it very difficult for us to get past them. And like, if you're not gonna respect them, then like, And if you're going to over level, all you're doing is just wasting everyone's time. There's nothing entertaining about over leveling. But that's something that I always wanted to like see. I've never got to play a Pokemon game completely. I feel like I've been so lazy with Pokemon that I had such a short attention span. This kind of forced me to have a much more in-depth attention span. Except I'm realizing that I had no idea how to speak at all. So this is something I'm going to be learning as well, how to speak better. But yeah, I don't know. Tell me like if picking slacking was a worse decision. And how I'm abusing people, like Bill Boss abuses people in Human Centipede 3. I don't know if that's the case. Like, I feel like this stuff might be a sense of child abuse because I'm literally hurting these young children and their feelings. And I'm a grown-ass man against youngster Alan with the damn Wingull. I think the biggest worry that I'm going to have is, like, it's going to be a random Pokemon I might not be able to hit, or it's going to have crazy defenses that might be able to take out my slacking, or an unlucky crit. I think that's what's going to be really interesting about what's going to happen now. But tell me some of the wildest movies that you guys have actually seen. Because I think there's so many wild movies out there that are so interesting, but because of the fact that they have such a wild factor, people are going to dismiss them. Or disregard them, or just say, oh, it's garbage because of this. I don't know if it's me, but I hate whenever people get so simple when it comes to their, like, thought processes of a movie. Because, like, the movie, like, I remember when movies initially came out, because I was there, clearly. I remember watching some of the first films ever come out. They were called, like, The Kiss. They were called, like, The Hug. Like, so many different things. Like, the idea of narrative cinema was never a thing until a woman came into the picture, funny enough. So, when cinema initially was there, it was, like, capturing things. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think Edison jacked the idea, or jacked the concept of film overall from someone else, but we'll give Edison the credit for inventing the film camera in a way. So, what happened was that when it came to males in the industry initially, it was very simple narratives. There was no storyline, no thought, no background characters, nothing. And it wasn't until women came into the picture that they started creating narrative stories. To actually have a start, middle, ending, controversy, all these different ideas and concepts all came from women. One of my favorite directors from back in the day, ooh, what's Blackout? What is this move? Yo, is this Darkrai's ability? Small the foes in the void, mate. I don't think so, but this is a busted ass ability. It's nice as hell. I'll need to be a rim chaser, so I don't need that. But I think about one of my favorite early directors from like 1908. Stupid progressive for her time. Her name is Alice Guy Blanchett. If you ever want to check her out, legend in the game. She died in New Jersey, so I'm claiming her for New Jersey. But the beauty behind her as an individual was that she was one of the first people to make a satirical comedy. She made a movie like The Consequences of Feminism. Oh wait, what the fuck is that, choice band? That's so sick. A choice band on slacking feels gonna be too busted for its own good, so I might not use it because I'm not trying to have easy mode right now. Fuck you, Charizard. You're not part of the team anymore for a reason. Hop off my dick. You had your chance. You had it. And now you're gonna get Dragon Clawed in the face. I really do wonder why Pokemon never went out of their way to make Charizard into a Dragon type beside like his Mega Evolutions. I really do wonder that. Whereas like they made him into a literal dragon but refused to make him, let's say, like Dragon Flying or something like that. I don't know if it may have been too busted for him to be a Dragon starter, but who knows. But I want to bring up Alice Guy Blanchett for a reason. One of her first films, I think it was around like 1904 or something. You can see all these on YouTube. YouTube is a great place to watch like vintage movies for sure. And it's called The Consequences of Feminism. But one thing that's so fascinating about this movie is that it's a parody movie about how men deem feminism. This is back in 1904, where it showcases like women harassing men throughout the whole entire movie, doing things that men would do to women, except they just did the direct opposite. And Alex Guy Blanchett makes that parody saying, "Oh, like y'all are just afraid we're going to be you," when you basically like, when we get the same power as you, when we get equal to you, we'll be doing the same things that you would do to us. And I think that's what's so crazy about Alex Guy Blanchett. She's so creative with her thought process. And one of my favorite films for her that made me stupid emotional was The Leaves Falling. Incredibly sweet movie that really captures like childhood innocence. In the movie itself, it starts off with the idea, and these are like 12-minute movies, 14-minute movies. They're nothing long because to have a full-length film like that, nearly impossible. So in the movie, The Leaves Are Falling, it talks about how this young girl is in the hospital, and the doctors are saying that she won't live past the last leaf falling. So aka like wintertime. When winter approaches, you're gonna basically have the Winter Soldier and all of the what are the ice people called in Game of Thrones? I can't believe I'm blanking on that. I wonder what their names are. The undead, the Walking Dead, the zombie Icemen, and Ice Women. I forget their names, and it's pretty sad I can't remember the name. But going on a trajectory, a tangent, not trajectory. My English is horrendous today, but I think what's so fascinating is that in the movie itself, she's capturing child innocence. So this young girl who's dying in a hospital, her younger sister hears the news from the doctor. And the sweetest thing that the younger sister does is that she goes out of her way to tie these leaves back onto the tree with string because she doesn't want her sister to die. And I think that itself captures Yo! Let's go! Oh my god. I'm sorry I'm screaming. My neighbors are probably losing their shit right now if they hear me. But the fact that I got a Lugia is easy like... Fuck! Oh my god. I forgot Lugia's psychic type. Oh, that was neutral. Oh my god, I think this is going to be the worst part about this run. I'm not going to be able to capture any fucking Pokemon. Oh, excuse me. Oh my god. Oh my god, how do I even talk about Sky Blanchett without suffering like this? But I wanted to say this, is that like, just the idea... Trace, okay, that's cool. With Alex Guy Blanchett representing kids in such a delightful way where it's like their own innocence itself is inherently beautiful. Just the idea of like that, the fact that the younger siblings like, I'm gonna make sure my sister lives forever and she won't die because the leaves are still hanging on the tree. So what the doctor said, technically she'll be good to go. Mind you, in early cinema, the idea of tragedy itself was very much like taboo. And I don't know if that was truly the case, but in many ways it kind of feels like that. So they obviously have the stereotypical happy Hollywood ending, which is great. We always love to see a happy ending. I don't want to reveal what it is, but you can guess it from just by the fact that it's a happy ending. But I think it's a great movie to watch or to check out because of the fact that it's so interesting to see how people are creative back in the day. And then I think that's something that I love about certain people and how certain people are directed and how certain people viewed society, viewed children, viewed adults, viewed certain type of things and being critical of it. And I think this is where movies like that, they're only 12 minutes long. They're basically short films, but it really teaches you a lot about what they're trying to talk about. Like, I think one of the most beautiful quotes I saw, and I'm paraphrasing, so don't hate me for disrespecting this quote. Fuck, Snubble is... Oh my god, I forgot Snubble was, what is it called? Fairy type in this game. How does Twin Needle work on you? Okay, Twin Needle doesn't do anything. I'd love to see that. I feel like I still have no grasp of understanding what is actually, a fairy type and what is a weak to, what is it not weak to. That's something I need to definitely figure out, especially if I play this game longer. I feel like the newer games definitely make it a lot easier to know what's super effective and what's not effective, and kind of takes away the idea of remembering everything. Because I remember back in my day, when I was first playing Gen 3, and now we're back to Gen 3, a more modified version, you have to remember every single typing, all the super effectives, quad effectives, half effective, not effective, zero, etc. I think in that way, this is where it's super fun to talk about the idea of film, because that makes sense to the sense I just said. But I think one of the best things in this situation is when you talk about certain films like that, it's about talking about what is the actual director mentioning. I think, in my opinion, the director's the most important person. Writing, super important. Acting, no. I think actors are very much so secondary to the film. It's literally the writers and the director. Because the actors themselves are literally encompassing the director's vision, and they are the literal metaphor to help progress a plot. That's how I see it as. And it might be a really messed up way of saying it, but I don't think there's anything more important than just understand that the actors are doing their job by facilitating and by allowing the director to place their vision within them as a character. But yeah, like, I definitely think these films are meant to be discussed, meant to be learned, meant to be growing, because art is always there to ask questions but never give you an answer. I remember one of the wildest interviews I saw was many people have a dissection understanding of what is the ending of 2001 Space Odyssey. Super complex, it ends up in a very weird location, etc. And the funniest thing is that the way that Kubrick said it, he's like, I hate this question, but if you want the answer, I'll give you the answer. He's like, the ending of the film showcases like French, like French inspirations when it comes to the chairs and like the cushions, and I'm like, yo, what does that have to do anything with the ending of 2001 Space Odyssey? That to me was so confusing, where it's like, yeah, it gives us a direct answer of the director, but even that, it didn't make sense to me. And I think the beauty is that with art itself, we all interpret things differently, we all see things differently. The way that we perceive the word I love you from a sibling, from a friend, from a lover, from a parent, we'll always have a different interpretation of what that word truly means to us. And I think the beauty is that in that exact way, see art in that same exact light. We are going to be seeing things very differently from other people, and we'll perceive and believe things in different lights due to our own experiences. Whenever I hear I love you from one of my homies, it's a very different experience than me hearing it from a person that I grew up with that I'm not as close to. And I think that's the beauty behind what words, art, media, etc. can mean to so many different people. For example, we all love reality TV, but reality TV, I think, is like a sick sadomasochistic like view of like how we perceive people. Yet other people be like, reality TV is great, it's the greatest thing on earth, I love it so much, I would never want to like not have reality TV. I'm a Jersey Shore boy through and through. I used to watch show, I watch Love is Blind, I watch every single reality show you could think of, but it doesn't change the fact that I also see it for what it is. And it's kind of shitty to like see people, and I remember this literally happened where whenever we saw any healthy couple on Love is Blind, we skipped them every single time. And then I think that itself really reinforces the idea of like, hey, we're only watching the show for toxic people. We don't even care about the healthy couples. If they're ever healthy, they're boring. And I find that inherently funny about why we watch these type of shows. But yeah, I think after this battle, I think this would be a great end to episode 1. I'm versing a fucking Pucciana, and Pucciana's about to get his cheeks clapped up real quick right now with a magnitude. Make it a high number. Love a 7. Love a 7. Love a 7. One shot. I mean, I don't know if this is easy mode right now I'm playing, but who knows, if it gets to a point that my slacking dies, it only gets a million times harder for me. But with that being said, this is the end of episode 1, HC3. We're playing Blazing Emerald. This is Slumdog, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. But I need to definitely save my game before you have a wonderful day, so you need to hold up with me. These people need to stop speaking so much. Fantastic. Time to save. It was great talking to you guys today. Hopefully we can talk further. Have a good one.